Okay, let's go ahead and get started. I know people will join as we get going. Um, like always, none of this is financial advice. Always do what's best for you. Just use this for your education, entertainment purposes only. And we'll start letting people come on. You can ask your questions, and we'll go from there. So just to recap where the market should be bouncing. The question, the $1 million question, is it going to be a bounce and failure like I have here, or is it just going to be a bounce to finish off this move? So there's quite a few possibilities. The unlikely possibility is just a continuation lower. So that would be very unlikely. In that would If 429 were to break next week and we'd see more follow through, then you could see a waterfall sell off, and you would want to probably get out of your positions, any longs, and start shorting because there probably could be some significant downside. If we see that, it doesn't seem likely though. It's a very unlikely scenario, but anything is possible. All right, let's go to your questions. Mitso, thanks again. Bullish on Robinhood. Yeah, I am, because if you look at the IWM, it should be bouncing. I do want to see it get to this 220 area before lower. If you always look at the IWM, it tends to have this consolidation like you saw here. Okay, so you see this fractal, it can consolidate and then it ramps higher and then crashes. So we are in this consolidation. We want to see this, just like you saw here, this rip higher. We want to see that rip higher, and then you're set up for this pull down, just like you saw here. That's the fractal we're looking for. So that means the Robinhood should be supported in this final push higher. And if we go to Robinhood real quick and take a look at Robinhood, let's see here. And let's take a look at Robinhood. If I can find it in our... I'll just type it in here. Okay, so it could be a couple options, but I do think it's in this like 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 pattern. You see how the RSI bottomed here, so that's why I put the 2 there. And again, if we look at the weekly RSI, you have this divergent top. So it should be, this is impulse off of the bottom, and then you corrected the cycle here, and then you launched at a 3. So I think we're going to see something like this, and then we'll see a pullback that should again go in between the 4 and the 2. That probably come all the way back to $9, something like that. That's kind of the game plan with Robinhood at the moment. So when is this 4 going to be over? It could be over at any moment. It's just we need to see what we have. So here's your connector, and then it's been an impulse down. So it's a tight ABC correction that goes all the way down. So this sequence should be over at any moment, as you can see here and here. You're curling up already. So I do think you got this bullish engulf candle on the daily. So we should see a reversal if we get some follow through next week, and then that could get this wave 5 going. And the target, if that's the low, the target here would be $14.15, but more than likely would wick up to 16, which is the massive resistance there. And then we could have a pretty significant, substantial pullback at that point, unless divergence is erased, which happens if we could take that peak out on the daily. Then it could go parabolic in a 1-2-1-2. But once you break out of this 1652, there's really no resistance until 44. So the odds of it doing that are slim. So it's going to find sellers more than likely, and you have this left shoulder head, and then we'll form this right shoulder here, and this will be the Russell probably pulling back like I had showed you that massive drop. So this is what I'm thinking with Robinhood, and it could be finished for at any moment. But do what's best for you. Okay, so let's see. German. Hey, what's going on? So INJ token. Let's see. So crypto in general, my forecast for crypto in general is a bounce here and a failure. Uh, does this have to happen? It doesn't. This failure. I was just kind of looking around, just some of the bigger tokens like Litecoin has already corrected deep enough, in my opinion, and intense enough. Bitcoin Cash as well corrects the whole cycle. It hit the buy area literally by a few dollars and boom, bounced out of that. So that correction. So some of these altcoins actually look pretty finished, like that's done. Like I don't think it could bounce and fail again. So that's why this may not happen. So the reason I have Bitcoin as a bounce and failure is some of the minor look like they need more downside, so that would allow that to happen. So it's a very tough forecast because all coins look bottomed out. The bigger coin, Bitcoin doesn't, the miners don't. So I would say for your crypto forecast, expect a bounce, but then it's going to be really tough to forecast what happens after that at this point. But ING here, let's see. So ING, we had this buy area here, and we hit it, right? So, and I actually should have drew it a little deeper to that 618. We had this 2, so there's your 2. So we had this flat pattern play out in a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. So this, just like all the other altcoins I just showed you, this could be ready to roll. This could be ready to roll. And I would just say that at this point, if this is a flat, we'll look at the RSI in a minute. If that's a flat and it's finished, yeah, that looks good there. The weekly still looks okay, and the 4 hour should show some divergence, and it does. Yeah, so I think you're trading against 667, and so it seems like it's done this sequence, and now it's in either a new connector to go lower to retest 530, or it's going to go into a 3 of 3 breakout of this massive consolidation pattern, a left shoulder, head, right shoulder that's finishing and ready to come out to something like this. So that's what I'm looking at here. So that's what I'm looking at. And again, the altcoins look better than Bitcoin for whatever reason. I don't know why, but maybe Bitcoin isn't going to dip back down again. Maybe it won't. Maybe it's going to do what I have here too. So I just think this is kind of the count. We've had this. I don't know when the last time I gave this update, but look, it nailed it. It did the same. It is so. Why would I change the forecast? There's no reason to. And if you look at the RSI, it totally bottomed out on the 4 hour the last time it did that and met the low here. So I would just leave it and see what happens. But I would definitely say 665 is a stop loss. Let's see if on the 45-minute we can see the shorter the shorter time frames. Here's a 3, so we're about to come out in wave 5, or take out this. So you have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 up here, but no divergence. So it would be some kind of 1, 2, 1, 2. I'll go to the 15-minute and look. So you do have the divergence. So you still have, so this is your impulse here, and now you're in some kind of 2 wave. Here it ended, and then it bottomed out there. So it could be some kind of run-in flat. It could just too many possibilities here. So I wouldn't the shorter time frames. It's really tough, but I would say that it looks like it's gonna, at least, even if it pulls back, it should have one more swing higher, at least. But that's kind of the setup right now in this coin. Okay, do what's best for you. Tesla is so the consumer discretionary sector is in a buy area. The triple leverage bull is in a buy area. Tesla is going to bounce in any moment, in any second. So I can't say if it's going to go lower or not. As you can see, this sector, consumer discretionary bull, triple bull, is in a buy area right now. So this is going to bounce. If this bounces, Tesla's bouncing. So that's kind of like the idea. And so if you're like, oh, I want to short Tesla, I think that's kind of silly at this point. So here I called the impulse up and then a expanded flat correction. We've completely reset the RSI here, right? This is just a 4-hour, but you could see the whole cycle's over. The daily, the same thing. So we're actually correcting the whole move. And the reason we know it's an impulse is you see the peak, the divergent top. So it's not a corrective structure. Some people are like, oh, it's going to go below 100. It won't. This also is a sign that the market does need one more swing higher, because you have 5 swings, you will get another 5 out of this. So the market still has more upside because Tesla has this impulse on the bottom. So now the question is when is this going to be over? And is it an expanded flat? Now, I think it's an expanded flat here. If it is, then what I think will happen, and it's really tough, was we're going to have to see if we see some divergence. You're going to want to see some bullish divergence at this bottom. So what I think you'd like to see is just one more low with bullish divergence to know it's done here. So you really like to see 211, 209 with bullish divergence show here. Now, if my structure is wrong, and this is a WXY, then it actually can be finished at any moment, and actually right there, that's a massive capitulation. And same thing with the 4-hour. So it's tough to say if it's not a flat. It could still be, this could be 5 here and then a WXY and it's finished. Anyway, I think this is a buy in this area, in this zone. And a lot of traders want to buy it and then just want it to V up, but it's not how it works on major bottoms. Cycle lows take time to play itself out, and so you're just going to have to be patient, but at some point it should come out of this for at least a bounce, even if it were to go lower. I don't see these lows breaking at 100. Could this also bottom? It can always do this. It can always do that. So that's not out of the question. So all I'm saying is it's going to bounce. I'm not saying it's going to go to 350 yet. It's not. There's no guarantee. But if you're like, well, I'm just going to wait and buy it later but there's no guarantee it's going to fail either. So this, if it were to bottom around here, that would take you to 406. Okay, so and that would retest this high. So it's something like this is what's playing out. But do what's best for you. But I do think a bounce can happen at any moment, any second, something more substantial. But what I think we'll see is a little more downside, and then we'll rip out of here. That's what I'm thinking we'll see, something like that in Tesla. And again, guys, I usually stay on an hour. If you want your question answered, you can throw over a super chat, and I'll get to it right away first. And I have to make a new rule now, only 3 symbols per person, because I had some people on here, putting 20 things in there. I'm not going to do that either. It's not fair to anyone else. So you just get 3. If you want more, you can give me a super chat. I will do more if you want me to do more than that. All right, so Tesla, let's keep going. Cal, CL, please. I don't know what. Oh, thank you. Yeah, CL. Is that like crude? What is CL? Crude? Crude oil futures. Okay, yeah, I gave that update last night. So crude oil is ready to pull back, I think. I think this is going to fool a lot of traders in terms of, I'm hearing now, oh, we're going to 100, $50 oil again. But we need to just kind of step back, look at this bigger picture, bigger pattern that we have here. We have a left shoulder ahead, and now we're forming this right shoulder. The last time it got to about $86, $84. Expect the same. We also like to look at other fractals, and you also see other fractals have this pattern before oil reverses. It's not identical, but again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder, and then collapse. I'm not saying it's going to collapse like that, but you could see the fractal, so oil will probably follow the similar fractal here, and so we're going to get this drop in Y. And I think the way I see the market responded to that is very positive at first and then very negative. So we should see one more. I mean, if this is a flat here in A, B, C, we need an impulse and a 1, 2, 3, 4. We need fifth wave. So we just need to make one more high above 85. Could we tag 88? It's possible. That's the ideal sell area here. And then we should start seeing a decline. Now the decline, like I said, I think is positive for the market. I think that will be great. Deflation, growth will pump. Tech, maybe this is the last pump I have in the markets coming, and then at some point it isn't good for the market, and then it's like, oh shit, it's too much deflation. Is it a recession? Just kind of like what happened back here, right? And then it's like, oh shoot, too much. So I think we'll hit 56 when it's all said and done. We should, or maybe 50. So here I think it's bullish for the market, and then at some point it's like, oh my gosh, it's a recession, a slowdown, whatever your reason, and then it's panic, a little bit of panic. And that's kind of what it looks like right now. That's what I think oil's going to do. I do not think it's going to come all the way back up to 128 and just keep going. I don't see that. If we could break through 96, then I would say a different scenario is playing out in oil. But I think it's going to have some resistance here. March 21, to October 21. So that was probably around, let's see, like 7 months or so. So here's your March 23, probably October, right? Probably peak in October. It's almost like a seasonality, right? March to October, and then we topped and the shoulder formed. So March to October, we top, and then a bigger drop. So just get ready for that. That's the oil market. That's what I'm seeing. That's why I don't like to be in energy again. I took profits in energy. I'll be on the sidelines. I'll be looking to buy it down here later. I'm playing the guess that it's not gonna moon like I'm showing. Okay. AMC is going to reverse split on Friday. Yeah, I don't trade AMC, like I said, with those ape shares that messed up my charts, and I don't want to bother with it. Oh, okay. Hey, Obed, thank you for the $10. Also, I may have said something offensive in the past. Please unblock me at Okay, if I've blocked you, I'll make sure I take that off, and I'll do that. If and I don't remember. I like I said, when I was calling for the melt up, guys, in January and February, and I was screaming melt up, get long, tech is gonna go crazy high, but I had so many people. I'm not saying you did that, but I had so many people, like, not just angry, but want to like come kill me, like send me messages like, I need to come hurt you right now for saying that. Like, how the F are you saying that? Don't. It's almost like I was given the answers to the test, and some powerful people were like, shut up, you're telling them what to do, don't tell them that. And so I started blocking anybody, and then I stopped my account because it was getting out of hand, and then I restarted it. So that was just a crazy time period, because the amount of hate out there. And again, I don't know why do people want the markets to crash so bad. And that's what I mean. I get it. Like, the bears already had it down to 360, and I'm like, okay, it's gonna go higher, and people went, freaking crazy at me for saying that. But now look, it looked like that was the right call in the end. And now I'm saying it's still going to go higher, and I'm sure people are pissed off about that call. But eventually we'll get the Y leg down. It's just, I think, like I showed you, a stock like Tesla should have another swing higher. So how can the market crash if Tesla still has to go higher? Okay, so I'll unblock you later. I'll figure that out. So, okay, so then thanks for the 10. So I'll keep going. AMC, it's doing reverse split on Friday. I don't trade it. I know you just gave me 10 bucks. I mean, I'll look at it real quick for you if you're really interested in it. Again, the Russell's supposed to go higher. If the Russell goes higher, then AMC should be supported. It's not like a given rule. But we could see here, we had this 5-wave move and an ABC, and then we had a connector, and we thought C was done here, but obviously we're still in some kind of C wave. But what I'm worried about is this connector is still not finished, so it's going to fool a lot of people. It's going to be a lot of sideways action. Wow, it's really bad. I mean, I don't know why you guys like buying this thing, but but I'll study it. But this to me is like a connector wave. So this is going to fool a lot of traders. I think it's going to be an ABC, and then something like here, like another ABC, and then like that. Could that C be done? It looks like this C should be in 3 waves. It looks like it could be finished here, and then and this would also be if the Russell's going to move higher like I have it, then this could play out like I have it here. So this is my take on AMC, and then at some point when this finishes, it should go back down. It should go back down because you made a lower low. So this should fail. Whatever happens here should fail. So I do think you're going to get this like quick reversal out. So we didn't get to 281. I would like to have seen it at 282. It reversed at 318. So just keep an eye on that. It could still go lower. So we could still see that drop here. But if we could get 281, that's the ideal point for a reversal, some kind of reversal. But it needs to fall pretty soon. It looks like it's already starting to break out. Like I think the Russell may already be ready to break out. So I think this something like that is AMC. And do what's best for you. PayPal. Yeah, I've been hearing a lot of people getting beat up with this stock. PayPal is not something I like to trade, but I know people are trying to bottom ticket, and trying to find that bottom. So we have it in this wave 5, right? So when can the wave 5 end? It will probably end when crypto really starts to move higher out of the 30,000 area. So guys, it's a massive flat. It's an epic flat. So now what you want to see is bullish divergence on the bottom here. So you have it signifying it's a 5. So now on the shorter time frames, you also want to see it as well to see if you're in the 5 of the 5. Whoops. Damn, I have to fix that. Fix that real quick. Okay. And all right, so here you can see the RSI peak. Looks like it just took this out. So that's not typical of a wave 5. Let's look at the 4-hour. Same thing. So this is in a wave 3 of 5. So it should still bounce and fail one more time. Okay, so what do I think it is? it's got to be something like, it's going to have to, I think it's going to do something like that. So it looks like it's going to continue to grind lower and frustrate traders. Uh, and it, as you know, an ended diagonal can have 3 swings. So you're going to get you're going to get some kind of, something like that. So I think that's what I'm looking at right now. The other alternative is far worse for bulls, and then you get this kind of move, and then the wedge is like violated, right? So that's because this divergence got erased. So I'm really concerned here. Let's take another look at the daily. All right, so you still have some divergence here. The 4-hour erased it. Now what's interesting is you have some here. Let's see the 45-minute. And then you took it out again. Yeah, I would be conservative with it. I can't tell you what it's going to end up doing, but I think it still has some more downside as it grinds lower. And then it should come out. But once it comes out of this, it'll be a massive opportunity, right? What's the pivot? So you're at for 29. So you have the problem too is you have no real support on the chart here until you get to 45. So don't be surprised if this thing goes to 45, goes down to here ultimately. It just grinds down there. So anyway, do what's best for you. So that's kind of what it looks like to me. And then at some point it will come out, and then this correction will be over, and it will be a massive opportunity because again, you have 5 waves with divergence, so you should take this peak out at some point in the future. If you're patient enough, we should be over. So it's a good opportunity. I think if you're a long-term investor, I mean, I wouldn't wait to buy it, but you need to be with money you don't need for a long time. Okay, we'll just keep going. I've already covered Tesla. Someone put Tesla again. You can watch the video. Yeah, gold's really interesting because it's still showing, based on my system, that it could have a long way to fall by breaking the pivot. You see how it broke that pivot? It could actually drop to 1794, but I don't think it's going to do that. Now, supporting this is also, here's your wave 4 bottom. So there is a lot of potential for this type of drop to happen. So I do want to mention that it could very well go down there. So you need to be prepared for gold in this area where I have this. But the reason I would watch out and think it could truncate here is the RSI is bottoming out already. So we already are getting capitulation. So we could see this truncate, especially if it's going into a 3 of 3. It may not bottom out as much. So that's why I'm just going to hold it and just buy more. So my strategy, yes, I bought here, and I'll just buy again here because I'm more of a long-term investor than a day trader. If you're a day trader, I wouldn't buy this. I would wait, but I wouldn't short it either, and I would wait for some kind of confirmation, either if it's here, long, or we break out and break above 1988, then that would lock this 2 in here. So, do what's best for you, but it should make another high that I have up here before peaking, like the rest of the market, and then correcting the whole move back down to maybe 1500. So we'll see how that plays out. We want to see this price, and again, it's a 1, 2, 3, 4. We're in 5. It could also be a 1, 2, 1, 2, and gold could go much higher. Let's look at. I haven't looked at the stochastics in gold in a while. yeah, it's way oversold on the weekly. So it's due for a pretty good rip higher. Uh, so you gotta be really patient with it. But like I said, it can easily still drop down to here. So you have to be prepared for that. Okay, so then your thoughts on coin. Yeah, I gave my last video on coin. I said don't touch it. I said something was wrong with that chart. It was seriously broken. And MicroStrategy, I said it looked like a corrective bounce, and it's literally been a crash. And yes, it can continue to go lower. So I personally, this is not. I can't even force an impulse. This is not an impulse. There's no way this is an impulse. This is a corrective move off of a major decline. It's a broken chart, in my opinion. Is it gonna continue to go straight down in a straight line? It shouldn't. It should have a bounce coming. Definitely should have a bounce coming soon. But I would. There's something wrong with this. A picture. I don't know. It's probably gonna do something like that, and then rally back up, and then it should make another low. I'm not too keen on trading it here. There's too many possibilities. Now, the ideal case is it could make one more high. Somehow the market surprises us. Let's say Bitcoin surprises us, it found the bottom, and before we know it, in a couple weeks, it's over 30,000. Then you could see something like this, and then a pullback later. That would be the ideal scenario. And that would be Bitcoin doing something like, not like I have shown here, but something a little different where Bitcoin bottoms, it rips into the 40,000 area, and then it peaks when the SPY and market peak, like I had shown you, and then it has a massive drop back down like that. So that's this pattern. So if that Bitcoin can play that out, then coin, this will probably turn into a 5 swing move. And then pull back. So tough to say. But I don't like trading it. There's too many other things to go trade. Okay, let's keep going. SU, please. Let's take a look at that. Oh, Suncor Energy. Okay. So we had this count. 5 up, 2, 1, 2, and now we're coming out, and it looks like, I didn't even change anything. It just looks like the price seemed to follow exactly what we had here. So we had a massive, drop here, capitulation, and a 1, 2 here. So the question is, where are we? There's a lot of hidden bearish divergence in this bounce. And given where I think oil's going to go, my guess is it's going to fail. So I'm not going to call that massive pump. I'm going to still think we're in some kind of 2-wave. So I'm going to be more conservative now. So I do think it's interesting you're breaking out of that bullish, but you see it's too much hidden bearish divergence where the RSI is higher peak, but price makes a lower low. So that's very bearish. That shows a reversal setup. So my guess is something like that. And then we come back to the wave 4 low. So I'm looking for this kind of pattern now in energy. Yeah, so do what's best for you. That's kind of what I'm thinking. So I think we could still have more upside, and then at some point a reversal down like that. Okay. All right, next question. Can you discuss with RSI why it's unlikely we would get another swing down? With RSI, why it's unlikely we get another swing down before all-time high. I agree. RSI burned hard, but price barely dropped. Reset the spring for new highs. I have been bearish all. Can you discuss with the RSI why it's unlikely we would get another swing down? Why it's unlikely? Because the stochastics have reset. So when if the RSI has reset and Stoke RSI has reset, essentially you're saying is there's no more sellers left to sell. All the sellers have used up their firepower. Think of it as a machine gun that used up all its ammunition, and there's no more ammo to bring it down any lower. Technically, like yes, there's few stragglers, sellers, late shorts. That's what's happening in the market right now. I've seen people like saying load up on puts. Well, you maybe should have done that 2 weeks ago. Not now. Now is not the time to be that aggressive. So I think that's what the RSI is telling you when it bottoms out so significantly, so quickly. It's saying the sellers used up all their firepower, and now it needs to reset the Stokes so that it could trap more buyers before it can go lower again. And that's where we're expecting a bounce. Now, I'm not saying the bounce could go to all-time highs, but I think it's going to. I just think that this bounce is due for the market, and I don't think you're going to see a massive crash. And I think the Stokes on the triple Qs is the most important thing that I've noticed in the market. There's probably others that you follow. Let me go to the stochastic indicator, stochastic RSI. And like I said, I've shown this on my videos before. This stochastic RSI has completely reset in January 23, and it's wide open to the upside, just like you had in 2009. So what that tells me on a secular time frame, this is secular, there's no really any more firepower left to bring the technology down in the crash of ages that people expect. These stochastics need to reset higher to be able to bring significant volume back down in the market to cause a crash. And if you look how far we are off this low, it's just unlikely there's enough firepower to get there to break that low. We need those stochastics to reset higher to even have an opportunity to do something like this. I know there's people that are on the internet and they are calling like this, like all the way, like that. That just can't happen because too many people have already sold in this leg. It's too late. Now that could have happened here, but people were able to get out in time before they got trapped because again, the Federal Reserve was messaging long before all this that they were raising rates, so people had plenty of time to position. Only a few people ignorant of the market got trapped in this and panic sold. So this was really an obvious setup here, but now that everyone has been able to get back in, they're more confident, and people have missed this move. They're going to want to buy this dip. They're wanting because a lot of people have missed this move. So that's why there's also a good likelihood of a pretty good bounce because people want to buy the dip again. They missed the move, and then you get everyone in, and then perhaps the quarterly stochastic is up, a little bit higher up here, and then that could allow you to drop again to bring you down. That's kind of what I'm thinking. All right, man, deep for 10. Thanks again. Let's see. SoFi and Neo and Mara. Yeah, so I don't know if you asked me about Neo last time. I think someone did. And Neo is actually playing out exactly as expected, right? I said it had topped, expect more downside, and we essentially have been getting that in this crash correction. I believe the connector's already in. So we should see this low of $7. We said, and I think the question last time was, can we see Neo at $7? And I definitely think the answer is yes. So I do think this is the pattern. So Neo should see more downside. Now this connector is pretty shallow, so you need to be careful for the trader battles where it rips back up like that, which can easily happen. So you need to watch out for this pattern. This is a common B wave pattern, and then drop. So, but I think now you have to expect that more downside is coming in Neo, and we should see more downside in this area. So that's the pattern, and this is just exactly what we have forecasted. Exactly. We just said I expected a bigger bounce. We didn't get it. Now we still might get a little bit more, but this is where we're going with Neo. Now, SoFi, I mentioned I did not like that chart anymore. I haven't seen what it's been doing lately, so let's take a look at. I imagine it's been selling off with everything else. If I can find it here. Yeah, it showed a peak in 5 and we're dropping. I said you need to be really careful because this is a corrective move and we could go to new lows. So I think it's just going to continue lower. Again, nothing's in a straight line, but we should have a bounce. It looks like it could be in 5 waves down here. Let's see. You see the divergence. So we have the first wave should be over at any moment. We should get a 2, and then I would expect that to continue lower. And I want to see this low break. I want to see that low at 421 break with a divergence erased to call the bottom. But I'm looking for something like this. So I do think we have this 2-wave coming, and like 2 waves could come all the way back up, so you can get really trapped in it. So I do think it's something. My like short-term forecast here would be this, and then more downside. Now, if SoFi can take out this peak, then this is invalidated. The bearish count's invalidated, and then you have a 1-2, and then this is a low of some kind, or it could be an ABC corrective bounce. So if 2 can take this out, then bulls are alive, have more life, but it doesn't seem likely. And then Mara I mentioned. So there's no rule in any rule book. This is just my experience as a trader, especially more for crypto than anything. Anytime you have overlapping waves, the corrective structure almost always goes back between the 4 and the 2. So I'm looking for 729. So for Mara set up for a bounce and failure like that, which is why I thought Bitcoin could bounce and fail. Something like that. It could even do, but I think this is the setup in Mara, something like this. So it should be bouncing at any moment. Now the other option is it's just in a straight down crash correction and it continues lower next week and finishes it. So either way, I don't like buying it here. There's no way to know when, because this is so extended. It could continue to finish. It could just finish and puke a little bit more. So there's no guarantee of this bounce. So I just want to mention that. This is just what I'm thinking I would expect to see. You definitely have the stochastic on the 4-hour reset. The weekly needs a little more downside. So that's probably why you get this bounce and failure. But do what's best for you. Okay. I mean, technically here, there's your connector right there. So let's look at that. So that gets you to 1074 for your bounce wave. So your W wave should bottom out right here in this area, and then it should bounce and then want to see another low. Now if I was trying to buy this, or what I want to really own this for the bull run, again, you have a left shoulder head, you're forming the right shoulder. Now look, the right shoulder, look how far it comes down. That's why I think it could go lower. But if you're trying to buy this, you just buy it here, you let it bounce, and when it fails, you buy more of it here, and then over here, you're way in the profit, and you're not going to care whether you got the best price. So you have to be strategic in how you accumulate. Right, you can't be all, because if you're like, I'll just wait till it gets to $7, it may never get there. It could just go, and then you missed it. Or you could buy it all here, put your whole stack in, and then when it pulls back, you blow up and you panic sell, and then you miss it out. So you have to buy some here, play the bounce, and then you could buy some more down here, and then you could wait for that rip out of this. But this pattern should finish. I think it's got more downside. I think it needs something like this, or it continues with this crash, And once we get into this $7 area, then it could actually be over. So thanks for the $10. And again, guys, if you want your question answered, super chat, I'll go right to it. And I'm only on for an hour, so about 15 more minutes. All right, we'll keep going and see what we have. Yeah, right, because if you look at the RSI, it gives you a different picture of the market, right? If you just look at the price without RSI, it's hard to understand what's going on in the market. But with the RSI, you understand the opportunity that may be in front of you on the bullish side because it's so oversold and so washed out. SEC limited. Okay, let's take a look at that one. Oh, what happened here? Let's take a look. That's a massive crash. I mean, what a pump, though. So the first thing I want to see is so that's obviously an impulse with the divergence. So this is a connector wave, and it broke the low. So this is a go to zero chart, whatever this is. So this is one I would be looking to short. I would not be looking to buy this. This is some kind of go to zero chart. I don't know why. Why is this so bearish? Is the company that effed up? That screwed up. Yeah, I mean that's what I'm looking for. So it's got obviously a lot more downside that should happen. Perhaps it could find a bounce here. If it could play the swings out. Yeah, and it's just it's still in a wave 3 of 3. So it's something like that, So that's kind of what I'm looking at. It definitely should go lower. I think should easily hit 29, and then maybe start finding some buyers, and then maybe probably even lower, probably hit the 1758 that area right here. And if it can do all that and survive and stay there with the divergence erased, perhaps it could find the low there. And again, I don't know why it's so bearish. What's this company do? Online gaming services in China. Yeah, I'm not sure, man. But it looks like it's got more downside. Okay, do what's best for you on that one. Okay, I got 5 here for Sabir. So yeah, what happened? BC. So these things are tempting, right? These because they were so high. So again, off the top of my head, there's a lot of value in this. So BCG is $1.23. So this is like equivalent to like a little like $150 Bitcoin Cash. Roughly. I mean, it's not exact. So for this to come all the way back up, I guess up here, right, and take this out, you need it to be let's see, if the dollar is 100, $10 is 1,000. So you're looking for like $8,000 Bitcoin Cash. So the question is, you need to ask yourself, could Bitcoin Cash go over $8,000? And could it do that? And I think the answer is yes. At some point, it will. And $8,000 would mean breaking the all-time peak and then coming out here in the grand super cycle top, which I think will hit 10 grand. But the question is when, and that's the $1 million question. So it's got to first start coming out of this basin. It's in the basin phase. It's in a 1-2, 1-2, 1-2 pattern. So it should have a really good parabolic move in this cycle, 4-year cycle. but is it going to be enough to get it up there? My guess, it probably won't. It probably need another 4-year cycle to do that. I think it's just asking for too much. So I do think like this 4-year cycle, perhaps we can get back to the all-time high, and then the next 4-year cycle, we can break it. So that would be a more realistic goal. But you basically need, I think, $8,000 Bitcoin Cash. The only other way to get that is there's just so much FOMO that people will pay like 2 or 3 times the premium for those coins, which we've seen at times in Grayscale, it being overvalued by like times 2, times 3. If that were to happen, then maybe it could do it at 3,000 in the height of a wave 3 of 3 while it's up in this area, and you get a spike up there. So it's just tough to say, but I mean, this is kind of the count. It's definitely still bullish. It's just got to work its way out of this basin phase. Okay, thanks again. So let's keep going. Carvana. So Carvana, I have it in this 4-wave. Now look, if Carvana is almost in a buy area, and it may have missed it, but the buy area was 35.69. So it looks like it either is done or it can make one more low into this area. So I'm looking for 35.69, and this will be a 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. We get 5, and then we could get a massive drop. Now the other interesting thing is look at this inverse head and shoulders playing out. Left head, now right shoulder, and maybe so could the 4 go deeper? It's absolutely could do that, so you can still be careful in it. Let's take another look. Yeah, you see you're still in the same cycle. So you haven't broke the cycle yet, you see. So to me, it's still got a 5 coming, something like that is what I'm looking for. The other option is it's a 1, 2, 1, 2, and it comes out in a 3 of 3. And then it's hitting these targets, which is unlikely, but technically not impossible. So it's not quite there in the buy area yet. You did see the RSI; it did reset here on the 45, the 4-hour, the daily. It all looks good. So it could have already bottomed. Could have bottomed on Friday. Could already be done. So don't know yet. So we'll see, and then you should get this up 5th wave, and then something pretty, then a really big pullback. TLT, I think to me is the long-term rate in bonds that I was showing the other day that I think is ready to go higher. I think the TLT is ready to go higher. I think it's again not a lot of sellers left, even though. And everyone's supposedly super short treasuries. And again, coming in at the end of the cycle when the move's already happened. And I believe they're all going to get squeezed out soon. So I wanted to see this push higher before lower. We haven't broke 91. So we could still get this type of move that I have here. But now it's looking less likely. So what I'm we'll see is, X is here, and we get this final move lower, and we break this low. We really want to see that low break at 91 to call this finished, but we haven't. So it's a very tough chart. I would love to buy it here. This is the ideal. I've had this box here for the last year and a half, guys. This has been, you guys have been following me. I've been saying, buy TLT. I'm like, not going to buy it. I have my box, and I'm waiting. So if we can get to 87.93, I'll be loading the boat on this. If we can, and I'll probably use TMF to do it, the leveraged fund. Now the leveraged fund is interesting because it's almost in the buy area at 514. So I think so. I think on the shorter cycles, I think the TLT is going to go lower a little bit. I think it needs to break this low. But like when the TMF is here, then I think wherever this is, it's ready to go. It's ready to roll on the long end. And again, this coincides with the 10-year or the 30-year, right? I don't know if I have the 30-year mapped out. I do here. So we're in 5. See, it's almost finished. Guess what happens after 5? It comes all the way back down. So, and that will be a massive upside for the TLT. Now, the problem with 5 means you're going to get another swing higher. So TLT will bounce, but then it will fail again. Now, if we don't get this 5, then it's a corrective structure, and then it could go all the way back down. So we don't know. So it's really tough. It's a tough chart. I think we'll get 5, and then we'll pull back, and then I think the TLT will be a buy up here at 5. Okay, so I'm going to stay on for about 5 more minutes. If you want your question answered, super chat. If not, I'm just going to kind of now scan through the comments and see if there's anything I have that I can answer quickly. I already gave an update on PayPal earlier. I see a couple people want Roblox, so I'll go ahead and do Roblox, Roblox or whatever it's called. Yeah, Roblox. Yeah, Roblox. So it's a corrective structure. I think I remember I liked it because it showed an impulse off the bottom here with that higher high right there. That's a higher high. So it's just in a correction. So as long as this low holds at 21, everything's okay, and I believe that low will still hold. It could even be this setup, 1-2-1-2 setup. Does it have earnings coming up? Let's see here. See that divergence there? Low and so it's an 8. So yeah, so I think we're still in 2. Yeah, real tough chart to try to figure out. Ideally, it would break 25, but this is kind of what I'm thinking, something like that, and then out. So it seems like this would be like the price needs a little more downside to either break that low, which would be ideal, or kind of double bottom here, or I guess you'd say triple bottom. But I have seen it end earlier, truncate, so it's tough. This is a really tough chart here in a tough corrective structure, but that's what it's in right now, something like that. But it needs to hold 21. It has to hold this low. If not, then it's a connector wave, a bear flag for this move, and essentially it's a go to zero chart, and I wouldn't touch it. If it breaks 21.42, I wouldn't want to own it anymore. I don't personally trade this, so it's not a stock I know a lot about, but I do think this is kind of the setup that I'm looking at, something like that. Okay, so then let's see if there's anything else. I gave PayPal already. So watch Zishan, watch the live stream earlier. I kind of gave my thoughts on what Bitcoin can and can't do. Tesla gave Tesla already. You can watch that earlier. TLT gave it. Can Bitcoin be in an overshooting B and now is in a C wave? Oh, where it breaks the low and goes, to super lows. Well, that would happen if we think we're in a market crash. So what would lend myself to that view? I want to see SPY break 429 and break it with a lot of volume and momentum. That will worry me, but I mean, because we still have this, see this area, this is still lingering out there, but it's unlikely that this is going to happen for a lot of different reasons. But the first one is this bounce off the bottom has been pretty strong, and it's in 5 waves. Now, of course, I can fit an expanded flat connection, but when we took this high a second time here, right here, and took that high, it's not likely. It's not likely to come down here, and the market would need to break the October 22 lows. So a lot of things have to happen, and the dollar will need to make new highs. There's a lot of things. It's way too early. I'm not, it's unlikely that this would happen. This would be a market catastrophe if this happened, and we would start to see things break down. Like we would see SPY start coming down into these areas, right? Which is not expected. We wouldn't see a bounce. We would see acceleration lower. We would see the Qs break, 343. We would see a lot of things start to break down before this happens. We would see the dollar really break out. So it's just I wouldn't be calling that. I think the more likely scenario, like I mentioned, is a bounce and failure, like that. I think that's the most likely scenario, but you also can't rule out this massive rip and then a massive dump, like that, something like that. And again, don't worry about the timing. It will be this timing is not accurate. It's something, but the pattern, the idea is. Let's see. I'll just yeah. Platinum had a weird setup, and it's like I think gold and silver people are it's like massive. I think the people that are trading that are moving the market are huge players that have more money than any of us could ever dream of. And even central banks even are playing in that pool. The banks, Morgan Stanley, these guys trade gold and metals. And I believe there's a lot of games going on, a lot of manipulation, a lot of, just strange price behavior, a lot of truncations and erratic price action. I think ultimately, though, those metals are going higher at some point. Yeah, I think they're trying. There's a group of people that are trying to short this. And if you could see all the information on the internet about how short a lot of major institutions are in these metals. It's like stupid short. Like in economy under, and like why would anyone be so fixated on shorting a metal when there's so many other things to short? Right? Why be so obsessed with shorting a metal, a precious metal? But they are. These institutions are obsessed with shorting silver, like to the point where it's almost like you have to start thinking conspiracy, but because unless the data is wrong. So I think these metals one day are just for no reason something's going to happen, and you're going to wake up and they're going to be a lot higher, and there'll be a short squeeze of the ages. And probably you'll see institutions fail and need to be bailed out, like we saw with the nickel market about a year ago. I think that's how this thing's going to go down. But I'm not going to sell my metals. Thanks for the 5. I'm not sure. It's hard for me to tell who sent it. I'm sure I probably got it. Thank you, Tina. Yeah, 4110, and that would be the bounce and failure here. So it very well could do that, right? It could very well bounce here and come back like that, and that may get you to your 4110. But then that would change the structure of this wave a little bit, but it wouldn't change the ultimate target. It would just change when we would get there. So you have to, and I mentioned this on my video, you gotta like respect this. So again, if you're going in with your whole stack here, you could get blown up if this happens, if this move happens like that 410 move. So you need to understand how you want to trade that, because this is not this is possible. But for this to happen, that means you're going to ask Tesla. Let's just go back to Tesla. So if you want 410 to happen, then that means you're expecting Tesla to have a bounce and a failure too. You're expecting Tesla to come down into this 160 area. So, but look how oversold it is. It's just tough to see that happening. You're going to need to see Nvidia really go down to 320. You're going to need to see Apple at 150. You're going to need to see Microsoft under 300. To get the SPY 410, all those things have to happen. And it doesn't seem likely that investors are going to dump those stocks they love and cherish so much, especially after missing the move and they all want to pile in. It would take a horrific earnings warning report or something to get that type of sell-off. But I mean, anything's possible. So you have to respect that, and you need to understand that there's no guarantee that it's straight line up. So you have to respect that bounce. But a lot will have to go wrong for technology for that to happen. A lot of problems, and then of course you would need the rates to continue higher with no pullback. So you need a lot of things to go wrong. So am I thinking that's going to happen? Well, it's too early to think that yet. We'll wait and see what Q3 earnings is like, and we'll see how that goes. And then of course the CPI reports coming out will be a big important, if they're going to drive. Yeah, I always adapt. Every day is different. Some days someone's like, "What do you think of this stock? I love it." Next day I hate it because the data changes. The data changes. Did you see Deere? It had bad earnings. I didn't. I saw Deere was selling off. Yeah. Now Deere was Deere had a massive sell-off, but in the grand super cycle, Deere's in trouble as an individual stock. Like we have a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and we pulled back a three-wave bounce. Now we did make a higher high here. You see that right there and right there. So the odds of this going down to this target area is very slim. So more than likely that's the 2. And now we came out in like some kind of 1, 2, 1, 2 setup. Let's take a look at the shorter time frames and see if we can see some impulses. Okay, so here you had a three-wave move off the bottom, and then you dropped, and now you had another three-wave move with a higher high sequence. So this would be unusual if Deere did this, and it will go back to 220, because typically this third swing is way too short for making a higher high, right? So you have this A, B, C for the first swing, and we should get another swing higher, something like that. So that's probably what Deere's going to do. So it's probably in some pattern like that. So I'd be looking for, and this is kind of what the Dow should be doing, right? It should be jumping up and then a big sell-off later. So something like this, but this higher high should take it up to 487. So I don't really care what it's doing right now. I just care about 487. I think at 487, then I would be a very, very nervous about everything. But right now, I'm not. I'm looking for this reversal at any moment. But B can keep going down, right? So it's in something like that. So this is what I think Deere is going to do, and then come back down. The alternative would be this is some kind of 1, 2, 1, 2. And I did see how the RSI just took out all those peaks except for that one. So that's an important one to hold for the 1, 2. But because once you take that one out, then the bearish setup is the most likely setup. And again, this would be really unusual if this happens. So I would be looking for a trend line break. If we get that trend line break, then it's got a waterfall sell-off coming. So I'd be looking for a reversal. And again, go to the Dow, right? What do I look for in the Dow? I'm looking for the same thing, a little bit higher, and a reversal. Okay, I'm gonna wrap it up, guys. If you didn't get your question answered, super chat, I'll go to it. I hope it you got some of your stuff answered. I would just say that just expect a bounce, but don't expect a V bottom. But don't also expect a drop to 410 either, because if you're waiting for 410, you may not get that drop, and then the market will leave you behind and then you'll feel really sad. So you just need to buy in three swings. That's what I always say. Buy every three swings, and then let the market decide whether to stop you out or not. And that's usually a safe way of trading this market. So we get a bounce, you buy here, you get a bounce, and then let the market decide to stop you out, or hey, it keeps going great. And again, if it just does straight down and breaks 429, then I wouldn't touch the market. I'd be on the sidelines. Then there's something very different happening, and then we could even say that it's finished. So it's just a very important week. Probably Jackson Hole is probably going to be a very important meeting to get this market going in a different direction. That's my guess. All right, guys, that's all I've got.